Events that have been unfolding in Westbury. I'm joined by SABC reporter Lopang Alamu. Good evening to you, Lopang. I mean, firstly, it's just been an incredibly hectic week. You and I have been on the ground. You've had some scary moments, once or twice. Well,
definitely. It's very, very important to understand the community you're going to deal with when you go into such stories. But then again, a community that angry is very unpredictable. I mean, we saw an incident where we were attacked by some residents when we were doing a live crossing on Monday. And the one thing that confused myself and my colleague, Cele, was the fact that we had spoken to the man before the crossing, and we had agreed that, okay, we will be talking to you and I will then introduce you and you can then tell us what your grievances are. But of course, things didn't happen that way, and he spiraled out of control.
I mean, it just gives you a sense of the real anger that is felt in that community. We know, of course, one of their central demands was that the police minister, Bheki Cele, come to that area. He's been there, but they're saying actually they're going to continue.
Well, what they're saying is that the minister does not have a detailed plan of exactly what it is that he's going to do to ensure that drugs are rooted out of that community. You know, Bangani, as we were driving around the area, we actually saw so many young people using actual drugs. We spoke to them, of course, they wouldn't speak to us on camera, and what they said was the fact that this is all they know. They're not working, some of them did not finish school, and those are just some of the things that the community is faced with. So the minister did not come with a detailed plan. All he said was that he's going to, ensure that there's more police presence. But what's the use of actually bringing in more police if the actual core problems are not dealt with?
Well, I mean, in your package earlier, we saw the Gauteng Community Safety MEC Sizakele Nkosi Malubane in the area telling residents to name and shame in the context that you've just painted. Is that something that's going to help at all?
Well, definitely it would help, because we also spoke to some police officers who say that the residents, say that they go to Sophiatown police station to open cases of against the drug lords in the area. But of course, the police refuting those claims, saying that, they've held raids and they've spoken to community members and no one has actually come up to them with a name. So those are the conflicting stories that we hear. Residents saying they go to the police station to report on these drug lords, but then the police, on the other hand, saying that the community is failing to actually name and shame them.
Well, one of the things that's now emerged is, of course, concerns about possible vigilante justice, because things today went awry when residents targeted a home they said it was a well-known drug den. Shots were fired. What happened?
Well, so what we understand from the resident side is the fact that they are aware that that house is a drug den. So as they approached the house and the house owner came out, we understand that shots were fired and that, of course, no one was killed in that moment. But, this comes just minutes after the minister, hours rather, after the minister had visited the area. So this just goes to show that the community is really, really angry. So no clear indication as to exactly who are the perpetrators, because no one is coming up with a name.
So were drugs found there at that house?
No drugs were found at the house. We spoke to the police and they confirmed that no drugs were found at that specific house.
Was there any person identified? We know that an attempted murder charge, at least a case, has been opened by the police. Was there anyone identified as having been responsible?
Yes, one man was taken in to the police station for some questioning. So the police will only, after the investigation, then tell us as to what he's being charged with, if he is going to be charged, because remember, the community was also there, residents were there, so he had to also be taken away for some more questioning.
Look, it's coming close to a week now since the original incident that saw the eruption of these protests. What's the situation like now as we speak from when you were last there?
Well, things are a lot calmer now, but of course, residents still angry, saying that nothing has changed. They've been promised this for 6-7 years now that we've seen Westbury as a drug den. We know that it's very, very drug infested. Our youth here struggling with drug addiction. So not much has changed. And the residents, of course, they speak to us on WhatsApp, over text, calling us, saying that on Friday also they're planning to shut down Westbury as well, because unless, of course, the minister comes up with a detailed plan exactly how it is that is going to help the community.
And of course, as you and I have said when we were there, they're quite sensitive about the use of the word gangsterism. They're saying there are no gangs here. There are drug lords, certainly, there are dealers, but there are no organized gangs fighting over turf.
Well, correct, what we told, and the residents just reiterate the fact that there are no gangs in Westbury. What they tell us is the fact that this war is a turf war between drug lords, rather. So it's just a drug war going on. Who sells the most? Who gets more clients there in Westbury? Who has most supporters? So that's just the whole scenario in Westbury at the moment.
All right, Lopang, we'll have to leave it there for now. So another projected shutdown for Friday in Westbury. It's certainly a developing story that we are going to be keeping an eye on. A lot of anger in that community, dissatisfaction with the reaction of the police minister. They want details, not promises. Stay with